The economic system and why it's faulty is not so clear to anybody. When most African countries gained their independence, starting in 1958, they gained their independence with the vision that now that they control their own borders, that the resources of their countries would be able to, would be invested in such a way that their own people would do well. 40 years on, most of Africa's countries are doing worse today than they were doing at the time of independence. And what we found is that they have the sovereign independence, but in terms of economic policy, they had a lot of economic policy advice that many felt that they had to take from institutions like the World Bank and the IMF. Then there was also the weak governance systems within Africa, which allowed a lot of our leaders to steal money from within the continent and put it in European and American banks. Now, up until September 11th, we were told that the monies that had been stolen, which were running into billions, could not be traced. But once there was September 11th and the American government needed to trace illicit funds that were going to terrorist groups, we all of a sudden find that the banks always had the capacity to trace these monies. And so in the last 5 years, we've been able to start tracing monies that were stolen from Africa and put into countries that now say that Africa owes them money while they're hoarding our public funds. So slowly we've been raising awareness, shaming these countries like Switzerland, even England, many countries around the world, Germany, and trying to force them to send the money back so that the money is used for what it should have been used for, which is to provide education, healthcare for the poor peoples of my country and other countries of Africa. And that's happening slowly. In Nigeria, we've already gotten at least a couple 100 million, and we've been able to negotiate debt forgiveness, which was really a kind of a stranglehold on our people, because we had so much debt and so much of our money every year was being paid to foreign institutions, foreign banks. And we got 50% of our debt cancelled, and we paid off the other aspect of our debt. So now we're in a situation in Nigeria where we can begin to use our funds to help with alleviating poverty. And we still need, for issues like trade to be addressed, we need to be able to sell goods, farming, produce and other goods to countries of Europe, to the countries of the United States and other countries. But we find that aside from oil, there's very little that the European countries or American countries want to buy from us. And yet there are many things we want to buy from them. So there's an unequal balance of trade that is systemic. So even as we solve certain problems, we see that we have other problems. Looking on for the next 20 years, I think really that I would like a global economic system that allows us to employ all of our people. The kind of economic system we have now, whether it's in Africa or in Europe or in America or in Asia, wherever it is, or in Australasia, we see that a lot of people are left sort of marginalized in these systems. And when you go to this country, you see them, they're the permanent underclass. They become homeless or they're put into ghettos, and they're, if you go to America, it's very painful for me to see, because many of those people are African Americans who were forced to go there to build America as slaves and have not been well treated thereafter, and are now subject to racism and all kinds of discrimination. So I feel that not only in Africa, but all over the world, we need an economic system that values human beings and allows them to be productive members of their societies, to contribute equally, to have dignity. These are important factors. It should not be that human beings are working for an economic system, but it should be that the economic system is working for human beings to live in a happy, full, productive way. That's the vision that I carry.